I would like to invite Elijah McPherson over to the stage to talk about why we built Observe.
Cool. Good morning. Cool. So today I'm going to be talking about why we built Observe. I've been at Shopify for 3.5 years, and I'm a distributed systems nerd. So the problem, I think if you were at Shopify maybe 13 years ago, we had one vendor for metrics, then we took on logging, and then we took on tracing, and all of this was across multiple vendors. And when I joined, that was a big problem because we had 3 different vendors for 3 different signals, and the costs were unpredictable. Cool. So one of the things that I was hired to do was hire and build out the team to replace all of these different vendors and migrate to our own in-house observability solution. So the vision to start was we did not want to be locked into any one vendor. We wanted to be based on open source. What's really important to Shopify is reliability, and we wanted to empower teams to understand their reliability. And then I think the customer experience, right? We wanted a observability platform that was catered to Shopify engineers, to our support teams, et cetera. Cool. So the solution, we built a product that we call Observe internally. The ideal of this is bringing a tool that is built by Shopify for Shopify that takes all the context on how we run our services, how Shopify works, and then we built that on an open source technology like Grafana. We chose Grafana as a framework of sorts because it gave us dashboarding out of the box, data frames, things like that. So what did we build? So the current state of our observability, we've built a metric system and a monitoring system that allows us to look at our tracing data, our metrics, our profiles, our logging data, et cetera, across all of Shopify in one tool. Observe also allows our teams to do what I would call table stakes monitoring. So things like dashboards, alerts, SLOs, things like that, that essentially if something's wrong, you get paged in the middle of the night to understand what's happening. We've also built synthetic checks. I actually worked on this personally, so happy about that. But that essentially allows our users to essentially script out what they would want to check on any website and make assertions about it and then get alerted if those assertions fail. Cool. We also built webhooks, and this is essentially all of our alerting. And the thing that's cool about this is it's cohesive. So I talked about synthetic checks that triggers alerts. Those alerts can then be routed anywhere via things like webhooks. Things like log alerts can also be routed via webhooks. And then this year, we worked on a new tool that we call Investigate. And Observe Investigate is, I think if you take a step back and look at what we've actually done over the last 2 years, we've built the logs, we brought in profiling, we brought in metrics, we brought in tracing, all into Observe. Investigate essentially allows us to take all of that and correlate it in one unified product experience, which will be shown later today. There you go. You can search, analyze, visualize, tracing, log data, infrastructure metrics. We have network performance monitoring and Investigate as well. Cool. There it all is. Cool. So I want to talk a little bit about the lessons learned from doing something like this. So we did a migration. And one of the things I would say is embrace open standards until they fail you. right? So push those as far as you can go. And at our scale, anything is going to fail, right? So things like Prometheus, metrics exposition format, things like StatsD, we use that, open telemetry. But at some point, you're going to have, at our scale, you're going to have to invest into the tooling, and that's important. Which then brings me to the next point, understand the cost of instrumentation. Instrumenting these systems are not free, and the more you scale, you'll realize you have teams adding more metrics, adding more logs, and then over time, you're like, hey, how did my bill get this high, right? Not only how did we get so much data, it's what is the cost on our runtime, right? Like counting numbers isn't free across 2 million CPUs, right? So thinking about things like that, and there's Francis on our team here would say, understand and perhaps allocate a budget to instrumentation as a part of your request model. Next, I would say is do the really hard things first. And this goes to the migration. Migrating a massive system like Shopify's telemetry data, how people use it, is really, really hard. And the hardest thing has just been scale and users' expectations. So if you're going to do something like this, go big. Try to scale up as high as you can first, because if you don't, you're going to feel the pain later. Cool. Actually, I wasn't done. And then lastly, the team, right? You cannot do this. What we've done is really, really difficult. We hired the right people. We have the right team. And many of this team is going to be giving a talk today on how we built this over the last 3 years. And I'm really grateful for everyone here. And thanks, Shopify.